Hi, this is Gary Rosenzweig with MacMost Now. Today I want to share with you some of my secrets of video podcasting. So I've got 14 tips to share with you if you're a video podcaster. Some of these may seem obvious, but hopefully there'll be a little something to help everybody out. Okay, so tip number one is use a real camera. Now, a lot of people do video podcasts tend to use webcams or the built-in iSight. But there's really no substitute for a real camcorder. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but a real camcorder has better lenses and better capability to transfer the video to digital. Then you could feed that into your computer or just record it onto tape and feed it into your computer later. So nowadays everybody wants high definition, and it's cheap to get an HD camera and it works with all editing software. But it can take a lot longer to edit and render video in high definition. So I recommend recording in HD, but doing your editing in standard definition, especially if it's a video podcast that's going to end up in standard definition anyway. If you're going to make an investment in anything, it should be in a good mic. Audio is actually the most important part of video. After all, without good audio, you can't understand what the host is saying, so the video doesn't do you any good at all. So get a good quality microphone. A lot of video podcasters are seduced by the coolness of using a green screen, but green screen also can take up a lot of processor power when compiling your video, and it's difficult to get a good effect. I say skip it. Build yourself a set that has something to do with what you're talking about and skip the green screen. Now, lighting is very important for a video podcast. Make sure you're well lit. You should have 2 lights in front of you and also a light behind you to light up the back of your head. Cheap lights are better than nothing, so go ahead and get yourself a cheap pair of lights. You can get some halogen lights for $10 a pop if you can't afford to have expensive studio lights. With a video podcast, I believe it's very important to get feedback from your viewers. So be sure to communicate with them. Just like I do, post an email address and also allow people to comment on your website and check up on the comments if you also post your video podcast to YouTube. You should also try to get your viewers involved. You notice from time to time I do a series of questions as a video podcast. This allows for me to post people's questions and answer them directly on the podcast. It's a two-way street in video podcasting. It's not like old media and television where we're just broadcasting out to everybody. You should have an open communication channel and use that as part of your show. Now, sometimes people ask me, well, where should I distribute my video podcast? Should I put it on places like Blip TV and distribute through iTunes? Should I also go with other sites like VO, Vidler, Rever? And how about YouTube? I say do it all. If you're going to produce a piece of video, go ahead and distribute it everywhere. Sometimes your audiences can be found in different places and they like different websites to go to watch their video. So put it everywhere. Another important aspect is to have consistent content. This means if your show is about a certain topic, stick to that topic and don't go changing to something completely different from one week to the next. You'll lose subscribers that way. Also, be consistent with your schedule. If you disappear for a few weeks only to come back with a few episodes and disappear again, you're just going to lose subscribers. In video podcasting, I like to also create what's called evergreen content. This means that I do a show, say a how-to episode, that'll be just as interesting a year later as it is on that given day. If you do a show that's only good for that given day, say about current events, then your episodes won't have that great a shelf life. You can bet that after a few weeks, nobody's going to watch that video ever again. I find it's best sometimes to mix it up on a show like MacMost. One mistake I see in a lot of video and audio podcasts is there's a lot of dead space. There's a lot of silence, there's a lot of repetitive content. If you try to keep your show tight, then you can get the most information in the least amount of space and you'll gain and retain subscribers. I see a lot of video podcasts never even get off the ground because the creator wants to make the perfect episode to start with. My advice is just get going. Get your first episode out there and then improve later on. You'll have plenty of time to get user feedback and figure out new techniques to make your show better and better. So just start. I think the most important tip I give people is to be genuine. Do a show about something you love and be yourself. I love Macs, I love Apple products, and I love talking about them. So doing a show for me is natural. So if you're going to do a show, doing it about something you love and be genuine. So there are my 14 tips for better video podcasting. And just like I said, I practice what I preach. So if you've got a question for me, you can email me at questions@macmost.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. Every once in a while, I throw out a tip like one of these in my Twitter account. Till next time, this is Gary Rosenzweig with MacMost Now.